So yeah, I loved it. I want to watch the rest of this video now.
Oh, awesome. Well, then there will go another album by them from which I can pull. So great.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Audiophiles, you bastard. My name is John, his name is Andy. It's warm in and out, the pulse flowing love. Spread the calm to meet the others. Pleasure fills with love till dawn. More on that later. But first, we have a track to listen to, selected by brother Andy. What have you got for us?
Well, we are going to revisit a band that you have grown quite fond of through Into the Music and even more so through this channel. And that band is Oh Brother.
Oh boy.
Oh boy, oh brother, you got it. Now I know you've gone off and you purchased or had at least checked out the entirety of was it
Endless Light.
Endless Light, right? Yeah, they're one of their more recent albums. So I thought we would dig into something that came out before that. And this track is called Poison! Exclamation point. And this particular video I want you to check out is a live performance from Maze Studios in 2021. Now, I know you're saying, you said, hey, this is some of their earlier stuff. Why 2021 then? Well, this is at a performance sort of celebrating the 10th anniversary of this album's release. So it's a decade later, but it's the same song performed live. And I'd love to get your take on this band that you have grown more and more interested in as we've done this show, and what your opinion is of it.
Be more than happy to.
Excellent.
Hold my tongue from idle speech to keep my mind fed. Gonna trade intent for futile means in the process.
Before, I'll say it again. This is very Radiohead. You've got sort of Tom York yodelings there, and it's interesting, this mechanical, sort of low-tech mechanical noise. Also, some sort of bobbing or something going on, and some whispering as well, some ghostly, disembodied whispering, which is always cool. Yeah, nice start. Yeah, that sounds great as well.
I guess there's a hole in the bottom of my head. My senses fall. I've seen the sickness reside in the belly of the rock. Is the train to glut in this eye to feast upon our and I could pretend.
Yeah, so band kicks in, obviously. You were here with me, you saw that. Yeah, it's the same thing as before. This doesn't feel as full as some of the other songs that I've heard that Andy's given me from them, but it's still got them printed on it. And there's this approach to things to always try and add a bit more atmosphere and some dynamics to it. I like that little bass bump just there, but then the guitars are sounding pretty dirty. It's a really nice beat from the drum, and it's not just your simple um, bang bang bang, as it were. Um, so yeah, and then his vocals, he does little sort of trills, which Tom York does as well, which it sounds like him though, and so they'll have their stamp on it. So this is definitely an O Brothers song, you can tell, or performance, I should say. So yeah, and it's got that sort of always trying to build stuff. Now I don't follow lyrics at the best of times, and I'm not really getting much from him, but yeah, it still starts putting little pictures of atmosphere in your head. And with these guys, it's always dark, it's always at night, there's always flaming torches, and you're in a kind of rural area with perhaps some sort of abandoned ruins as well. Yeah, I've always get that sort of stuff there. But I like, and his guitar's like sort of just chipping away and still going along. It's really interesting stuff.
That it won't, but it'll be Will you watch me drown in a pool of my fading blood?
I think I just caught that bit there. It says something about you watch me drown in a pool of my something blood. Yeah, I mean, this is, lovely imagery. So it's the usual stuff. There's some weird shit going on, and it probably ends up with someone dying. Yeah, all good stuff. The guitars, it just feels like the tension is rising all the time, and with the beat, it sounds kind of processional almost, trudging way to his fate. Yeah, it's great stuff. Don't know what's going on here. And this instrumental black's really interesting though. So you've just got him coming in with some vocalizing now, which again sounds, sorry to labour the point, but very Radiohead-ish. But before that, there was sort of stopping and not stopping and starting, but there's sort of bits coming, sort of moving pieces. Do you know the phrase that came into my head as I was listening to that was, this is all very cat and mouse, like they're playing with each other, or just really, I don't know. It's obviously probably nothing to do with that, but that's just what popped into my head. It's fascinating how that could come just from a bit of instrumental music. Yeah, it's good stuff. quiet section, Eye of the Storm. It's got the bow out.
This wasn't right, but it's what I needed. And I wouldn't lie to feed my indifference. This wasn't right, but it's what I needed. I wouldn't lie to feed.
He's repeating these lines that should get it ready. Yeah, this wasn't right, but it's just what I needed. And then something about feeding my indifference, I think it is. But you feel it's building. You've got this pulsating drum beat. They're all sort of coiled, ready to rock out. You got your man there with a bow, just slowly getting. It's just all coming upwards. This is really nice. Both bass. That's nice. Additional sticks. Well, I've been given strict instructions to stop at 1833, but I just want us to keep going, actually. It's so impressive, isn't it? I don't know, perhaps it's just me, but I really, really like this band. And there's this bit towards the end where they come, again, it's loud, loud dynamics again, but he comes back in and he's almost howling. And if you took that in isolation, as you would say, "Oh, I don't like this noise shit," but it's how we got there throughout the sort of song that just draws you in. So atmospheric. Yeah, this is great. The additional percussion sounded fantastic. The way it all built up, the structure of the song. Um, it probably isn't quite as sort of developed as some of the other songs he's given me, but it's still them, and it's still thoughtful as to how they're going to do this song. And yeah, I love it. It's fantastic, really good. Right, let's find out a bit more about all of this with Andy, and then when we're done with that, I can go back and watch the rest of this.
All right, so you've returned. So, what's your take on this track, "Poison" by Oh Brother?
Well, it seems I have the antidote.
So clever, John.
Oh, right, okay. Well, I'll have to preface this by saying, and I think I said this before a few times with reactions to that stuff, that I haven't got a whole lot of notes because I let the music kind of wash over me. I'm quite intrigued, and I think I'm really enjoying that bit. I should note down what the hell happened just then, and it doesn't really go. But anyway, so first of all, warning: this reaction may contain references to Radiohead. Um,
Warning, my notes may contain references to Radiohead.
yeah. So it opens with this sound of some sort of low-tech mechanism. I don't know why, but the word bobbin sprung to mind just because it's a nice word. But there's this sort of like mechanism, and then a couple of ghostly whispers. There's some disembodied voices, just subtly, and then the piano and the singer. I can't remember his name. Still can't remember his name, but. So sing it just sounds lovely. I mean, immediately he throws in a couple of Tom York yodels, just in case we're not getting the Pyramid Song reference. And then the continuing rattle and ghostly hum for good measure, just slightly. After a few bars, in come the band. And it's interesting because they seem to be more interested at this point in the song in just adding atmosphere rather than any sort of melody or motifs. There's plenty of grime and dirt, and a great beat from the drummer. So the key thing really is his vocal melody and the percussion, that rhythm. At one point there is a nice bass bump, boom, that he comes in as well, which is really lovely. But the whole thing feels very processional, like a slow march to the grave. I think that's in the reaction. It's like someone trudging towards their fate. I do catch a line. Just after I think I stopped and said I'm not getting any words in, suddenly I caught a whole line. I don't know why, because it was no more clear than any others. But at just some point, just the way the ocean parted, and I heard something about "you watched me drown in a pool of my blood," and so yeah, lovely stuff. Warms the cockles of your hearts, doesn't it? So at this point, I'm thinking to myself, it doesn't sound as refined or as expansive as some of their other stuff that you've given me, but it's fine. There's still that something other in the whole mix of the song, which I really like. It has their stamp on it and their sort of thoughtfulness of how they're going to convey stuff. Particularly, they were going very atmosphere heavy on this, and I really like it. We go into an instrumental section after he's singing a bit more with lyrics I don't catch. And this part, there's almost like this sort of stepping motif, particularly from the bass and one of the guitarists. And I just get into my head this cat and mouse situation, like people vying or about to, jump on each other. And I can't explain why. There's no rationale for it, but that just popped into my head. They play with the dynamics a lot, and they slow down and they drop out. And he comes in with this ghostly, "It wasn't right, but it's what I needed. Something, feed my indifference." I mean, right, I got the feeling now we're right at sort of the eye of the storm. So it's all come to a head, and then you're in the calmness and the stillness where it's about going batshit around you. He repeats this phrase a number of times, and he goes falsetto. And then we get this additional percussion from the original keys guy and from Mr. Tank Top, who's been sitting there waiting very patiently, bless him. The accompanying sort of rin shots and the percussion and the stick strikes sound great with him singing, and in come back in the guitars. And I even gave it an audible gasp a bow for Mr. Bass Player. You don't get a bow and a bass very often, do you? And he's
Although
slowly.
Anton Dang loves to use a bow and a bass, but the bass player for this band, he oftentimes will catch him in songs using the bow, so it's
Wow.
par for the
But
course.
yeah, he slowly draws it across those fat strings, and he's just building that sonic platform of noise. It's almost like the energy meter in a video game, just going up and up and up.
Yeah.
And with it, the tension. Um, and it feels like this section is being played by torchlight. I often seem to, get sort of these pictures in my head, and it's usually a rural location at night, torches, as in the wooden, flame torches, maybe cloaks, and definitely sort of ruined buildings. But I always get that. The refrain goes even more York-like, and then we get these pulsing drums, and then the sort of torch smoke fills the screen, and we end. Um, it's atmospheric, it's dynamic. I haven't got a clue what's going on, but I love it. I say maybe not as sophisticated as some of the tracks you've given me, but still incredibly thoughtful. And there's just like, for instance, like the bit when it comes back in with the vocals of that outro where it's repeated the phrase about he howls at one point. Now, if you'd have played that in isolation to me, I wouldn't want to have any part of it. But it's how we get to that point, and they've earned the right with their scene setting and their atmosphere leading up to it. So yeah, I loved it. I want to watch the rest of this video now.
Oh, awesome. Well, then there will go another album by them from which I can pull. So great.
I haven't yet.
Yeah, but it is definitely worth checking out. It's a great way to hear the album, to watch it unfold, and to get an idea of where they were when they were writing this and when this came out. This is their first debut full-length album that they ever released. So it's a great, I think the only I have notes about it right here, but the only other track by them we did off this album was Lay Down, which is on this channel as well, and you really
All
like
right.
it. So yeah, great performance. Main reason I picked this song out of all my options was that one of the very first things you said about these guys when you first heard them on Ascension was, oh my God, these guys are like Radiohead. They have the same sort of approach to music as Radiohead does, which I think is undeniable. But then I thought, oh man, if he thought that was a glimpse into how Radiohead they can get, let me pull maybe their most Radiohead-like song from their oeuvre and throw that to him. So, and you picked up on, I mean, the Pyramid Song is, you might as well call it the inspiration for this song. So very great. I'm so super stoked that you picked up on that. Yeah. Oh, brother. Quick recap of the band. American rock band from Atlanta, Georgia, that currently consists of Tanner Merritt on vocals and guitar. So there you go. It's a meritocracy. Johnny Dang on guitar. Jordan McGinn on guitar. Michael Martins on drums, and Anton Dang on bass. And I got to say, for the style of music that they play, I think it's such a genius move to often incorporate the bow into the bass, because it builds this stretched out resonance that you can't get from a pluck or a pick. You know what I mean? Or a slap or any other sort of hand on string action. It creates all this room and sound. And that's, as you say, it's very atmospheric. And that's a huge part of what they focus on. And that lends itself to creating atmosphere through the bass. So genius move.
You'd have to do it with a synth bass, otherwise, wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly. So this track, Poison, features on their 2011 studio album debut, as I mentioned. Its name, Garden Window. Though they had released 2 EPs prior to Garden Window. The album was produced by Andy Hall and Robert McDowell of Manchester Orchestra, as I believe I've mentioned in the past. And it also features the track Lay Down, which I just mentioned a moment ago, the only other song from this album we've covered on the channel. This performance of Poison took place at Maze Studios in their hometown of Atlanta back in 2021, again, as part of a celebration for Garden Window's 10th anniversary. In his review of the album for the Blue Indian, writer Grafton Tanner would opine, Garden Window is one of the most complete sounding albums I have heard in a long while, and it's a debut full length. I can approach it as a collection of solid songs, one right after the other. But what it sets apart from so many other debut albums is that it completely states what Oh Brother is and what they are capable of doing. And Tanner would go on to praise this track by stating the following: Radiohead is here within Oh Brother's music. It's evident, and it's most certainly a good thing. Like Tom and company, Oh Brother makes rock music with its choruses and sing-along moments while still pushing the boundary of what rock music is actually about. Poison, seriously one of the best songs I've heard, begins with Tanner and a haunting piano riff that is reminiscent of Pyramid Song and everything in its right place. The rest of the band kicks in. Anton Dang's bass roots the progression for a literal second, disappears, and then leaves a space for the guitars and the drums to move the song forward. Radiohead's fragmented arranging and surprising instrumental flashes are here in Garden Window. Influence? Absolutely. But for Oh Brother, it's a way of thinking. The album, like OK Computer or The Bends, becomes a crash course in how to rework a popular genre into something bolder and better than it ever was. I'm not stretching when I say, Oh Brother can take the reins. So, to say, like, here's the next, Radiohead, essentially, is pretty incredible stuff, whether you agree with it or not.
Yeah.
Adam Keane reviewed the album for Beatlanta and wrote, Poison is track 4 and really picks up in the space that Malum left you in. An epic, almost 8-minute track that bends and curves through a range of sentiment. Eerie drum beats and guitar riffs justifying a darker element to life. Beautifully arranged passage into introspection and regret, integrity and honesty. It's a delicate look inside a head that is drowning in numbness. He would add Garden Window is art, an 11-track masterpiece even. Can you tell I'm a fan yet? The album struck a chord with me because of its wariness, its gloominess, and its insight. Those things can be uplifting if presented in the right light, mixed with the right lyrics. And finally, David Bull would write the following of the track and the album in his review for Punktastic. Poison brings in an element of Portishead or Radiohead, a cacophony of drowning beauty, which is exceptional. The album punches a hole through your heart, through your soul, through any opposition in the field. Poison starts like a scratched 7-inch from a film, turning up the pressure the band imposes on the listener. There are beautiful guitar parts throughout this album, suspending your oral palate with pulsating beauty. Bull would sum up his feelings on Garden Window by adding, the album has dimension for everybody. It is moody. It has rhythm and vocal depth. It paints a vivid story in your mind. It grips you by the soles of your feet and carries you aloft down Oh Brother's twisted, beautiful fairy tale adventure. This is real, true, and justified excitement around this band, and with this debut release, it is easy to see why. So, let's jump into these lyrics. I hold my tongue from idle speech to keep my mind fed. Did I trade intent for futile means in the process? I guess there's a hole in the bottom of my head. My sense has fallen out. I've seen the sickness reside in the belly of the righteous, a disease that trained a gluttonous eye to feast upon the wicked, and I could pretend that it won't, but it'll be my ruin too. I give it all. Will you watch me drown in a pool of my thickening blood? My rigid limbs sprawl around. I fear that I'm going down, stung by the incessant drone of some siren calling me out. Oh dear, I heard the sound. Now I'm hung like an overcoat, with some poison fruit in my mouth. Oh God, it's dragging me down. Louder and louder still, spinning looms by which I am bound. This wasn't right, but it is what I needed, and I wouldn't lie to feed my indifference. This wasn't right, but it's what I needed, and I wouldn't lie to feed my indifference. This wasn't right, but it's what I needed, and I wouldn't lie to feed my indifference. This isn't right, but it's what I needed, and I wouldn't lie to feed my indifference. This isn't right, but it's what I needed, and I wouldn't lie to feed my indifference. This wasn't right, but it's what I needed, and I wouldn't lie to feed my indifference. This wasn't right. This wasn't right. This wasn't right, but it's what I needed. This wasn't right, but it's what I needed. So, there you have it. That is Poison by Oh Brother.
I just like to reiterate my sort of feelings that it does sound like somebody caught up in some fucking big hooded cult trying to work their way out or whatever. There's got these sort of overall feelings of doom and claustrophobia within this whatever relationship, but it feels like he's not just with somebody but in a community that he's fighting rather than just person to person.
It does sound like somebody breaking out of a cult or some
Yeah,
sort
yeah.
of niche religion that they need to break free of. Yeah. I'm sure it's probably more societal than anything.
Yeah.
But regardless, definitely lyrics that are super interesting when you
Yes.
you go back and you can actually hear them versus what you only catch pieces of when performed live
Yeah.
or even dare I say in the studio version as well. But yeah, I am super stoked that you enjoyed this listening experience. Another track that checked the box for you by Oh Brother. Guys out there in the
Definitely.
listening audience, we've now checked out Oh Brother a number of times here. Did you enjoy this track? I know John's always been a big mark for these guys, but I'd be interested to hear what you guys have to say about them out there in the listening audience. Please also like, share, and subscribe if you'd be so inclined. We really do appreciate it. It helps us bring in more voices into the channel and more ears, both of which are integral for what we do here. So thank you so much. And hopefully John and I will catch all y'all in growing numbers on the next installment of the Audiophiles. We'll see you later, guys.